What is up, guys, and welcome back to another video. So in today's video, I'm going to be doing my updated guide on how to improve your mechanics fast for Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2. In this video, I'll be covering all the most effective methods that you can use to become an insane builder and editor and improve your aim as well, so you can become a more well-rounded and skilled player overall. That being said, if this video does help you out, then be sure to drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. And before we get into this video, guys, I'd like to take a minute to talk about today's sponsor, which is Buff. If you haven't heard of Buff before, Buff is a platform that rewards you for playing the games that you love. By hopping online and completing in-game challenges, you receive Buff points, which you can redeem for all sorts of rewards like various gaming accessories, gift cards to companies like Nintendo, PlayStation, Steam, and Amazon, and even keys for games like GTA 5, Minecraft, Doom, and so many others. And best of all, Buff isn't only for Fortnite. In fact, you can earn Buff points with tons of other games like Valorant, Minecraft, CSGO, Rocket League, and so many others too. As well as that, you can rest assured that Buff is 100% safe as it's an authorized app with Overwolf, and it's completely unintrusive and runs completely in the background. That means that it takes up almost no resources from your PC, meaning it won't hurt your in-game performance at all. So overall, guys, Buff is literally free money for playing video games. It doesn't get much better than that. As well as that, guys, if you sign up using my link, you're going to get an additional sign-up bonus of 30 points, taking the total to 60 Buff points for literally just installing the platform and getting your account set up. So with that said, guys, if you want to give Buff a try, I'm going to be putting a link near the top of the description, as well as the pinned comment so you can get started today. Thank you, Buff, once again for sponsoring today's video. So hopping into this video, guys, we're going to be splitting this video into two sections, which are building and editing and then aiming. Since building and editing typically go hand in hand, I decided to combine those into one section. So starting off this video, we are going to go ahead and start with building and editing. Now, the biggest thing that I've noticed that tends to improve your building and editing is definitely going to be realistic scenarios. By realistic scenarios, what I mean is basically anything that allows you to practice things that actually work in real fights. So in this section, I'm mainly going to be going over more realistic practice methods that help you to improve fast, rather than things like edit courses that don't necessarily have realistic situations in them. Getting into our first practice method for building and editing, and that's going to be piece control maps. Now, piece control maps are a bit different from regular drill type maps because they actually involve situations that you're going to be running into in game, and they help you master moves that you can actually use against real opponents on a consistent basis. When it comes to which exact maps to use for this, I have two that I typically recommend. The first one is Raiders piece control map, which has over 25 different scenarios that you can use to practice all sorts of piece control drills. I'll throw the code up to that map on screen right now if you want to try that out. The other map that I recommend for piece control is more of a course style map with all sorts of different editing and piece control drills, and this one is a fantastic supplement to Raiders map as well. The map is called Tito, and it's his realistic editing and piece control map. And one thing I really like about this map is the difficulty, since there's an easy and advanced editing section, as well as an easy and advanced piece control section. So with that said, I'm going to go ahead and toss the code up to that one on screen right now as well. But moving on from that, my next method to improve your building and editing dramatically in Chapter 3 Season 2 is going to be 1v1s. Now, obviously 1v1s do involve your aim as well, but the thing is, you're typically going to spend the massive bulk of your fight trying to outplay your opponent through builds and edits, and you're only going to spend a few seconds actually trying to shoot your opponent. So ultimately, 1v1s are a really good way to train your mechanics in a highly realistic environment since you're against another real player. There are two sorts of 1v1s that you could use for this, including build fights and realistics. The reason I recommend build fights is because the unlimited materials basically allow you to build and edit an absolute ton and get a ton of mechanical work in, but at the same time, you're forced to use more strategy and kind of think through your builds and edits and realistic since your materials are limited. So overall, I would recommend a fair mix of both forms of 1v1s if you're trying to step up your building and editing. And if you guys need some maps to use for these 1v1s, I'll go ahead and put up a code on screen to a build fight map and a realistic map that I really like in case you don't already have them. The build fight map code is on the top and the realistic 1v1 map code is on the bottom. Moving on from that though, and on to our next and actually our final building and editing strategy, and that's going to be learning from pros. Now, you may be thinking your mechanics are all physical, right? Like you're literally just clicking keys or moving joysticks, so how would you get better at doing that from watching a pro play? But the thing is, if you actually watch pros and you learn from the techniques and strategies they use in fights, you can also learn mechanical moves to apply to your own gameplay. Obviously, if a pro player is using a technique, then it's probably reasonably effective. And by doing that, you technically don't get better at pressing the keys or moving your joysticks, but it does help you learn new moves, which can in turn improve your mechanics in the long run. So in conclusion, take the time to watch some pro gameplay and take note of what techniques they use, and that should be a big help when it comes to getting better mechanics, specifically when it comes to obviously editing and building. With that said, guys, that's going to wrap it up for my top recommended methods to improve your building and editing within the current season. So for the next section, we're going to be moving on to aiming, and we'll be discussing some of my favorite methods when it comes to that. The thing about aiming in Fortnite is that it's actually really simple to learn, and most people try to overcomplicate it. In my opinion, there are two major major practice methods that'll help you get insane aim in Fortnite Chapter 3 Season 2, so I'll be going over those in this section. First method I'm going to recommend in this section is going to be target practice. What target practice basically means is any sort of practice that utilizes targets that move around and helps you build muscle memory and mouse control when it comes to aiming. Now, there are two different kind of like subcategories you can go for when trying to use target practice in a Fortnite aim training routine. The first option is external aim trainers, and the second option is in-game aim trainers. For the first option, external aim trainers, there are two options that come to mind. The first is Kovacs FPS Aim Trainer, which is a classic aim trainer that has a ton of different scenarios to choose from. And the second one is Aim Beast, which also has a ton of built-in scenarios, a built-in ranking system, as well as built-in routines that you can follow specifically for Fortnite. Those options are only available for PC, and you can find either of those apps through the Steam store if you want to try them out. The next option for target practice though, and the one I expect most people will probably use since most of you are either not on PC or not able to spend the money currently, is going to be in-game aim trainers. The most popular in-game target aim trainer by far is definitely going to be Scavix Aim Trainer. In this aim trainer, you have a ton of different scenarios ranging from tracking to click timing to flicks, and overall it's a really good way to practice your aim in Fortnite. If you do want to give that a shot, I'll toss the code up for Scavix Aim Trainer right now. If you don't play on PC or you don't want to dish out the money for a specific aim trainer outside of Fortnite, then this is definitely a fantastic option for target practice and will give you pretty similar results. Moving on to our next method of aim training though, and this one is going to be aim duels. Aim duels in Fortnite pretty much refer to an aim map where you and one other opponent are placed together, and your goal is to basically shoot your opponent non-stop to practice your aim. These can be all sorts of things like shooting an opponent who's gliding in the air, being thrown into a box and having to flick towards your opponent, or even something where you're in a box together and you're kind of just spraying one another to work on your SMG aim. Overall, aim duels are a really good way to get realistic practice since you're against a real player with real movement. And my top recommendation for an aim duel map is definitely going to be Raiders 1v1 Aim Trainer. In this map, the process is super simple. You and your opponent load in, you can either log in with a friend or hop into the portal to find a random opponent. You select the same HP, you shoot a scenario to select it, you grab the same weapon, and you're in. And as I said before, these scenarios range dramatically. A few years ago when aim duels came out for the first time, they were all pretty much just you and one opponent trapped in a box together spamming SMGs or shotguns. But over time they've evolved to not only be that, but also glider scenarios, movement scenarios, and all sorts of other things that really make aim duels an incredible form of practice. So I would strongly recommend that if you're trying to improve your aim, that you give aim duels a shot. If you're interested, I'll toss up the code to Raiders Aim Duel map on screen right now. But with all that said guys, that's going to wrap it up for today's video on how to improve your mechanics fast in Chapter 3 Season 2. Overall, by utilizing the methods I've gone over in this video, you should be well on your way to getting far better mechanics in all categories of your gameplay. Ultimately, by using the correct practice methods as well as doing them on a consistent basis, you should see some dramatic improvement relatively fast. If you guys enjoyed this video, then be sure to drop a like on it and consider subscribing as well if you want to see more content just like this in the future. As well as that, if you want to help your boy out a bit extra, then consider using code TECHO in the Fortnite item shop, as it's 100% free and it really does help me out a ton. Thank you so much to everyone who's using code TECHO. I love you all. And finally, if you're looking to make some easy money by literally just playing the games you love, then be sure to check out Buff, which is going to be linked near the top of the description and in the pinned comment. That being said, thank you all for watching this video, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.